Hey friends, what's up? Derek here from B.O.M Socks with more B.O.M Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ, one bite at a time. So I want to take a little bit of a different approach to today's episode. Paul gives kind of some overarching counsel over several chapters about the doctrine of marriage. Now there's some unique context as well with some of these. Like last week, chapter 7, it was how missionaries, those who've been called to serve as missionaries, how they handle marriage and things like that. And there's some other things that Paul teaches, and there's some contextual things again that you have to understand about that time period that will make what Paul said even more relevant. But I want to approach this just a little bit differently, and I think this would be a great way to do this if you are teaching a lesson about this. You know, whether you're in maybe a young men's or a young women's or a seminary class, or even just in a family scripture study type of a setting. So as I was looking through, and again, searching online, so take this for what it's worth, or you can find whatever research you want to back up what you feel. I was looking at the average length of a marriage in the United States. Okay, that's where I'm at, and so I was looking at that. Again, there's varying opinions on that right there, but the one that seemed the most consistent, at least across the board with this, they said an average marriage is about 8 to 8.2 years, or sometime even between 7 and 8 years or so. Now again, various research done about that, but that one seemed to be the most consistent, which is interesting because you start asking the question, okay, why is it the case that an average marriage is about 8 years or so? Well, I want to take you, and I want to approach this, like I said, maybe in a little bit of a fun way. I'm putting this together as like a recipe card, okay? So let's say this is just from the kitchen of Paul, okay? Recipe for a happy marriage. Understanding that there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, no such thing as an ideal marriage, and learning how to navigate through that, I think that is possible. My wife and I have been married for over 27 years, and I do believe that a marriage can be happy. I really do, but it's got to take both individuals to work at that. So here's what I would do. I'm going to list here just some things that you can do, and it's going to look like a recipe card, which might be kind of fun for a classroom setting. So what you do is you start with 2 cups of chapter 7 of 1 Corinthians, verse 3. You go 1 cup of chapter 7, verses 10 through 16, skimmed, meaning those are, there's a lot of verses there, and also using those footnotes. That's important. 3 cups of chapter 10, verses 13 and 14. Now, you normally don't apply these to a marriage, but I think they certainly do apply if you looked at it this way. You've got 1 big cup of chapter 11, verses 1 through 3. You have got 2 tablespoons of 11:11. You have a generous dash of the opposite of chapter 11, verse 18. And then what do? You work all ingredients together and you serve daily. Now, what you could do here on this is you could just pause the video if you wanted to. You could take some time and be able to study through. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these with you. You can study them on your own. I think there's some good things you could do there with those. Let me show you a couple of them I think that could be of value to you. So you got chapter 11 of 1 Corinthians, verses 1 through 3. It says, "A big cup of this, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God." Now again, culturally, you got to remember what's going on back then. But the principle here is, as men and women have Jesus Christ as their head, and they work towards that, that is going to help a happy marriage. Particularly when you go down to verse number 11. I have on here 2 tablespoons of 11:11. "Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord." Those 3 words at the end right there are absolutely crucial. You can be together, but you've got to have the Lord as part of that relationship. Now, in the Come Follow Me for this week, I love what it says here. It says, in God's plan, men and women need each other. In 1 Corinthians 11, 4 through 15, which is part of what we're studying here, Paul referred to cultural customs that we do not follow today. There's a lot of differences there. However, Paul also taught an important truth that applies eternally, found in verse 11. What do you think this verse means, and why is it important? Elder David A. Bednar taught, the man and the woman are intended to learn from, strengthen, and bless and complete each other. How should this truth influence a marriage? How should it affect the way we serve in the church? So this is one of those things, again, that you put this together with, neither is the man without the woman nor the woman without the man in the Lord. You've got to have Jesus Christ as part of that relationship. So as you put all of these things together in this recipe of sorts, these are Christ-like behaviors that you are putting into this marriage. By putting Christ and Christ-like behaviors in your lives, in your marriage, it will turn from an average of 8 years, and all you got to do is just move that 8 sideways, and you have got eternity or infinity. So I really do believe that as you focus on Jesus Christ as being part of your relationship, that is a crucial part of this. As you put these together, I really believe that is going to be what is going to give you a happy marriage at whatever stage you are at in your life, whether you are still dating or whether you're still young or whether you are well into your marriage. If you remember these principles, I do believe that they will bless your life. I love these things that are taught, and I know that they are true. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks as always for sharing these messages. So grateful that you do that as always. And of course, check out our amazingly comfortable gospel themed socks at bombsocks.com. Godspeed, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.